Let's talk about you and your business AeroCoach, because I've sort of known about you or your name going back a decade or so, doing crazy things in Cycling Weekly and having these weird socks and looking like a downhill skier and stuff, and obviously you've got a background in biomechanics and aerodynamics and all this stuff. How did you get from being that sort of nerdy geek, if I can say that in the nicest terms, to being now a very integral part of the cycling and triathlon and aerodynamics industry?
Don't get me wrong, I'm still a nerdy geek. I think that it's an exponential thing, isn't it? So it all grows from the entire industry understanding more and more and more about aerodynamics. So all of the stuff that I was doing back when I was racing time trials and doing cycling really kind of set the stone for basically set the tone for what was going to happen later. So a lot of the clothing work that we do now is based on some of the crazy things I was doing back then. But AeroCoach has been going for a few years now. We've got 4 employees who work full-time with us at our HQ in Bromsgrove, and we have various other employees who do satellite work for us in different locations, doing whether that's doing aero testing or whether that's doing design on products and things like that. So we have a few different strings to our bow now. Originally we just did aero testing, but now we're making components. So we make wheels, we make chain rings, we make armrests. We do coaching for riders. We also do race organisation because it's important to make sure that if there aren't any races, no one's going to be using your stuff. So and we really enjoy doing that. Actually, that's something we've done a bit more of recently, and I like organising races. It's really nice to see people going out and enjoying themselves, and you can't do that if there aren't any races on. The company's growing. I think that we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Certainly some of the things we do with national federations and big teams, a lot more kind of like quiet work that we do in the background, but we're still doing aero testing as we have done for years and years. So every week we're doing aero testing on riders, whether it's in the wind tunnel or whether it's at the velodrome, because that is one of the main things that's going to make you as fast as possible, and that's what our goal. Our goal is to make you as fast as we possibly can. And aero testing is a great way to achieve that.
And you see that business developing, because it already sounds like you've got potentially lots of plates spinning in terms of product design and aero testing and working with federations and all these different things. Are there new avenues and things, projects that you've got on the go? Because it sounds like that's the sort of person and the sort of business it is, that there's always new opportunities and things that you want to explore.
Absolutely. I think the thing that we're focusing most on at the moment is clothing. So we work with Nopins, which is a British-based company, and we're currently designing fabrics from the ground up specifically for cycling, which will then turn into triathlon suits and cycling skin suits. With the recent rule changes at the UCI, it's kind of thrown everything up in the air, but we've been doing a lot of work previously, and luckily our stuff still falls within the new remits that they've set. I think at the moment clothing is becoming a bit more of a hot topic, and people are becoming a bit more educated about how important clothing is, but there's another step up, and that big step up is going to be what we'll see in the next couple of years, as people really start to focus a lot of R&D and effort doing that. So we're already on that journey, and we've been working very, very heavily and closely with Nopins on first CFD and wind tunnel testing, and then real life testing too on these new fabrics. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to go, because again, that will make the rider more aero, and that's what's going to make people really step up and go really, really fast in the future.
Sounds like your background has been with cycling and time trialling, and we were talking earlier just about how developed and almost professional the amateur scene really is in the UK. You go to races, and I've seen results where somebody does 20 minutes for 10 miles, which seems to me incredible, and you're looking down the results and that got them 75th or something. It's crazy. So that's a very, very developed and educated scene, which has obviously been great for your business. How would you compare that to triathlon? Because I get the feeling maybe that we're a little bit behind in terms of the depth of understanding of that. Is that your feeling, and therefore is that then a big development opportunity for aerodynamics and all the things around it within our own triathlon world?
I think so, and I think it's interesting because originally triathlon was the hotbed of aerodynamic opportunity, where you could have pretty much any kind of bike design. You could have they were the first people to use aero bars in en masse, and so as I think the triathlon community is very good to be willing to accept new crazy ideas. Cycling, I'd say I'd probably split cycling into two components. You've got professional cycling and then the UK time trial scene, which is completely different. And as you say, everyone is very well switched on. People really understand the importance of aerodynamics, and I'd put them more in the kind of triathlon side of things in terms of being able to, you know, accept new ideas and try out crazy different stuff. Certainly the rules help, because the UK time trials are held under different rules than professional cycling, so there's a lot more opportunity to ride crazy bikes, for example, like like the Zip or the Lotus. But I think that the triathlon community, I think maybe don't realise how much more there is to do, and how aerodynamics is going to really play a massive part in your performance. Certainly over the course of a long course triathlon, you're going to be saving absolutely minutes, which is a lot of training's worth of time. By improving your aerodynamics. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that's going to happen. And certainly triathlon is, you know, more of a push that we're doing at the moment. We sponsor two pretty good triathletes. So we sponsor Anthony Costes, who went off the front of the bike in Ironman Hawaii with his crazy handlebar position, which we're very proud of him for doing that. And he still carried on to finish with a really good time, top 30 I think he was. And also Sam Pichter, who won the Outlaw Half this year, who's a really promising aspect, new to the world of professional triathlon. He's been doing triathlon for a while, but yeah, we're looking forward to using these guys to show how things can be done and how fast you can get with all of the technology available.
And just sort of summing up, does triathlon then add an extra complexity? Because obviously, you're talking about clothing, for example. With cycling, it's one sport. Hopefully you cross the line in a time trial, one breath from death,
yeah,
and that's it. For us, we get to the end and there is 5k, 10k, half marathon or a marathon to go, and there's different different sports that clothing has to operate in. Does that add some extra complexity and opportunities, and I guess potentially for you interest, because you've got to meet all of those requirements because you're typically going to be swimming in it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that certainly when you're thinking about having, you know, non-wetsuit swims and wetsuit swims and the kind of clothing that'll be able to fit underneath that, you have to be able to run in your tri-suit, so you can't necessarily have a really long sleeve, long legged skin suit because you might overheat on the run. So there's lots of other things that you need to work on when you're designing clothing, in particular for triathlon. You need to have a lot more access to nutrition when you're running, which is not something you need to worry about when you're cycling because you can store it on the bike. So not only from an aerodynamics perspective that clothing is going to be important, but also from a practicality perspective, you have to make sure that you've got enough arm movement for the swim leg, that you're not going to be chafing when you're running. So the whole place is ripe for opportunity, and there are lots of good companies out there making lots of good clothing. But I think that we'll start to see more and more data to prove that one particular type of clothing is faster than another, and you may find stuff that crosses over. So you might find a skin suit or maybe some accessories like calf guards that actually help you in the swim as well as speeding you up on the bike.